He's back. 12.2. Guys, we've talked about him. You know about him. You've heard his name before. Is he truly dead? I'm talking about N'Zoth. That's right. The greatest planner, the schemer, the ultimate, two-timer. He knows what's going to happen before it happens, and yet we killed him? Come on, that doesn't make sense. I still think N'Zoth's returning. I think he's had a plan all along, and I think it has to do with the dagger or something else. It's interesting that all of a sudden the dagger, the Xal'atath dagger, was once again in Xal'atath's possession, when the last time we saw it, it was left with N'Zoth. Let's find out if he is, in fact, going to come back and how this is all going to go down.
The N'Zoth's return is getting more imminent by the day. Right now in the PTR we discovered cultists abandoned by Xal'atath that returned to Masters, trying to dig out a Catraxi general around Zulaman. Last time this happened, the old gods almost took over the world. To make this crazier, Asharak, his former servant, is about to return, and most importantly, the data might avoid infuse the N'Zoth model like a month or two back. The old gods are apparently just minions of the Void, yet they look so different when you compare it to the current Void army, and are a lot more fleshy and very likely transformed by Azeroth. This Void-infused version of N'Zoth could be his true original form.
By the way, he says that
we know, and could N'Zoth
the whole transformed by Azeroth thing is becoming more and more of a theory, because right now we're fighting against the Void, right? We're fighting against the Void, and what do they look like? Well, they look like, big, cloudy, voidy boys, right? They look kind of like the Void entities that were summoned by Warlocks, even back since Classic WoW. But when we were fighting against the Void back with the old gods, it was always the tentacle, fleshy beings, right? And we always considered, Curse of Flesh is this old god thing. When in reality, maybe it's an Azeroth thing. More and more, we're starting to think like, hey, maybe this transformation of things into other things is an Azeroth thing. We saw it with the Thragar, right? With the Earthen, how they become diamond form because they get into contact with Azeroth. So Azeroth clearly has the ability to change things. Change the way they look, change the way they act and everything else. So maybe the Curse of Flesh is also an Azeroth thing.
Out to even be the final boss of this expansion, but not like in the
Also, Curse of Flesh is associated with free will, just saying.
Past, this time in true Nilota, next to the World's Soul. So Battle.net, Steam, GOG, you can have all this in one place with PlayTracker.net. No more friends across platforms, 5 different gaming libraries. PlayTracker solves all this by organizing and syncing everything into a single account. So you got unified playtime for all your games, achievements, all your friends cross-platform, and best of all, there is a really cool leveling and quest system as well, where you can unlock a bunch of new features.
Oh, look at
so
that, wow.
Connect all your gaming profiles right now and create a free account with PlayTracker.net with my link below. So the return of N'Zoth has been in the talks for years by this point, as his defeat has been left open-ended ever since BFA. I mean, technically we defeated him, but it was this whole convoluted thing where we didn't really go to Nilota, the real one, and we still don't know where this location was or what.
I think it was Dragonflight, where we go fight the infinite time dragons, and we go back to Ny'alotha, basically, and N'Zoth drops his voice line where he says he sees you, he sees us, he knows what we will do, what we will become, all that shit. Basically, he saw his own death at that point. And ever since that, I always said there is no fucking way. N'Zoth knows how he's going to die, and he's just going to let it happen. No way. Unless the death or the, allowing himself to partially die, whatever happened in that moment when we beamed him with the beam of friendship, if that was going to benefit him in some way, if that was going to lead to his eventual success, which is what I think happened here. Someone goes, imagine he ends up outsmarting Xal'atath. I would freaking love that. I would love it if they somehow pulled that shit off. That it turns out Xal'atath, who thinks she's the ultimate schemer, got out-schemed by an old god who is the ultimate schemer. That'd be great. We'll see if it works out that way. I hope that if he does come back, he's not just like, oh, he's the third raid boss in the raid for Xal'atath. I hope he's more meaningful than that.
What was going on, but they seriously foreshadowed this recently in the board with him when they connected him.
And some people be like, whoa, what about the other old gods? You got it. This scene right here is important, though. None of the other old gods, from what we know at least, made a deal with Xal'atath. N'Zoth did. It's almost like N'Zoth kind of knew, like, my siblings and I are going to fail. This bitch is eventually going to overpower us in some way. She's going to get past us. We're going to be fucked, and she's going to move on. So he made a deal. Made a deal with the devil. Decided to ensure his survival. Only for him to die at the hands of the players in a way he knew he was going to die? I don't think so. He ensured his survival, all right, and it had to do with that dagger.
Zeltet and created this mysterious pact that I think is soon going to fully unravel, as that was really left open-ended as well. This all started with N'Zoth and the Il'gynoth Whispers that have kind of become a bit of a meme at this point, because how long we just talked about this and it never ended up being the thing, but Il'gynoth is technically just growth of N'Zoth, and everything he said is technically N'Zoth speaking, and it is all about Zelda.
It's Ilgakak. He's actually N'Zoth's dick. That's what Il'gynoth is.
So much stuff about Zeltet, and it's obviously that Blizzard is building up upon it. So like, I know they didn't originally plan this, but it's obvious that they're going to build upon these whispers. Like, you may remember N'Zoth's whisper where he said, "She's not the last one, but the first. Drown her and you will see." Potentially referring to her being the first of whatever she was, because we can see she was like a light user in the past. He also said, most importantly, like this is the most important whisper, "The fall of night will reveal her true face. She will bring only ruin." I mean, guys, we got Midnight, aka the Fall of Night. She has got into the world soul right now, and as he says, she will bring only ruin. To not repeat myself, I mean, let me just point out something that recently changed the lore that you might not have noticed. So, remember the war with him, when we had that cinematic of the old gods defeating Zelda and imprisoning her? Now, we have more context on that, but we still don't have the full context, so this is still mysterious. Apparently, N'Zoth was building something in Alota which caused Zelda to attack with her pure, like, cosmic void army, and the old gods managed to defeat her. The entire lore that you may know of how the old gods are just like these minions of the void lords is very likely
some people get confused by this. They're like, but wait, aren't the old gods part of the void? Don't they serve the void? Yes and no. Again, like the old gods are sent out like a disease into the cosmos. They just get spewed out by the void, and they hopefully land on a planet. So the old gods that we had here did land on Azeroth, and they're supposed to like infect it and prepare it basically for being devoured by like a Demancius or something. But what happened that's weird with the old gods on Azeroth, and why we're talking about Azeroth's world soul influence on other creatures, is that it seemingly as they burrowed into the ground, as they got closer and closer to the world soul, they like deviated away from the plan. They didn't want to die. They didn't want the world to be consumed anymore. Instead, they kind of wanted to preserve it so they could rule over it, which is why the entire Curse of Flesh and all the other shit that's happened, all this anti-Titan shit and all this free will shit, it almost all seems like 4D chess moves by Azeroth all along. Let me infect these old gods to convince them to keep me alive. Let me also have them infect all these Titan creations like humans and dwarves and gnomes to give them free will so they can also deviate away from the Titan's orders. It all starts to kind of make sense that, hey, maybe Azeroth was, playing this 4D chess game all along and creating all these entities with free will, because that's basically anti-Titan. Anything free will is anti-Titan. And that's seemingly what happened here. What if the third World Soul Saga ends with us waking up in the middle of Ny'alotha raid boss fight? That could be a way to Shadowlands was dumb because it was just a dream. Yeah, that would be I don't know, I think that'd be too trippy. Yeah, like basically saying, oh yeah, and all your gear got retroactively taken away because it was all just a dream. I don't know about that. I think they could have pulled the just a dream thing, after Shadowlands, but they just didn't. Now they're trying to retroactively retcon it all. But I definitely think there's a way to play out N'Zoth's death, that he just didn't really die. He preserved a piece of himself in the dagger or something.
Complete lie. The Void Lords haven't been a thing for thousands of years with the new lore, which means the old gods were completely independent, and it also makes sense. I mean, did you notice that the old gods are technically void beings, but they're so different from this void, cosmic void army that you see? Do you notice how fleshy they are? I think the reason, like the true reason for that, is very likely Azeroth. I mean, we've recently learned how Azeroth gave free will to the Earthen that dug her prison. And it's likely that she also transformed these void minions, the old gods, who initially may have just been like simple like drones, simple minions, and the old gods got their free will through Azeroth with their fleshy structure, the so-called Curse of Flesh, that might not have even spread in the first place like as we originally thought, and then they kind of split away from the void and the old gods just kind of became their own thing. It's likely that the old gods are technically like in a way sort of native to Azeroth in their form as it is right now, and it just doesn't make sense. I mean, why do they look like what they look like despite being void minions? So, I mean, check it out. The Void Lords and the Void Minions, none of them are more fleshy like the old gods and their armies, which means the old gods
Yeah,
might
true.
have gotten in
They
like
have
this
they have tentacles. I mean, you can see these little mobs he's showing right here. They have tentacly shit, but they're not fleshy at all. They don't look like the old gods and their minions do.
old gods and their armies, which means the old gods might have gotten in like this weird parasite like symbiosis with our world soul, and they abandoned their original plan of converting the world into the void and just kinda turned it into their own Black Empire realm. However, where this gets really interesting is that N'Zoth was apparently building something in Alota, which is very likely close to the world soul where Xal'atath currently is. Remember, Xal'atath used the Sunwell to send her army to the core of Azeroth. This we learned about a month back. At the same time, two really interesting things happened. First, we data mined a void-infused N'Zoth model, which may have been his...
Yeah, J-Maul, that could totally be it, that they're just a different type of void entity. They're more fleshy because they're not really like the Void Walkers and stuff. Yes, that could certainly be a way too.
True form. As I said, N'Zoth may have originally been more akin to like a warlord than an old god, and second, we just discovered in the prequel to 12.1 that Twilight cultists are digging out an ancient old god general. Remember, last time an old god general was dug out, a massive war started. Now we discovered that Zul'Aman was built atop this place, atop the burial site of Kitix, a Catraxi old god servant, who was defeated apparently by some mysterious troll deity, which we'll figure out.
That's right. We already know that 12.1 is bringing old god shit back. So we're already starting to deviate into that story of the old gods once again.
Point one. Now, the Twilight Scammer guys were apparently also just abandoned by their new master Xal'atath, their new ruler, and they seem to have returned to the old gods because they say something along the lines of the masters will be pleased, and there's not many void masters currently going around. Now, the whole reason I'm even talking about N'Zoth returning is because it was made clear that in that war with him, I mean the World Soul Saga cinematic, that Xal'atath made some sort of a pact with N'Zoth. Technically, it was N'Zoth that ultimately freed Xal'atath, and that created this whole chain of events, but we still don't know.
And what did he tell her to do when he freed her? If you guys remember this cinematic, he told her, leave that dagger with me. She left two things with it. She left the player character, us, and she left the dagger. It's weird, man, how all of a sudden his dagger just be showing up again, and the last time we saw it again was with N'Zoth.
What was the extent of their pact? They seem to have cooperated
Last
back
time we
in
saw
BFA.
it was when Rathian supposedly stabbed his carcass, or whatever, his carapace, the outer shell of him with it. And even Rathian, when he does stab it in that cinematic, he looks at his hand like, where the hell did the dagger go? And then he forgets about it because I guess we found our way in, so we just rush in.
But I think they're going to truly cooperate now. The reason for that is what I mentioned at the start of the video. We never went to Ny'alotha, and we never truly saw N'Zoth like original. This was sort of like this,
right
like,
here. See, this is. I did not pre-watch this. Okay, I did not. It's really weird that he's showing the fucking cutscene that I just described. But if I move my head right here, this is the moment where he stabs N'Zoth. And he gets thrown back from the explosion that the dagger stabbing causes.
Saw N'Zoth, like original.
And he stands up and he looks at his hand like, where'd the dagger? Yeah, pre-watched. I knew that shit was coming.
Sort of like this, like vision where
he's like, oh, where's the dagger? Where'd that shit go? He's looking at his hand before he looks up to see what the
vision.
It's like, oh shit, I just lost the dagger. Yeah, where'd you lose? It's a N'Zoth got it.
Where we fought him. Ny'alotha is the capital of N'Zoth of the Black Camp.
Some people had a theory that it was destroyed. Well, that theory's gone because Xal'atath just used it in the most recent cutscene. After we defeat, what's it called? Lura. So, yeah, pretty obvious.
And while we defeated him, we never truly figured out where exactly on Azeroth his prison is, the actual location, and I'm guessing it is going to be close to the World Soul, and that
it can be a different. No, it's not a different dagger. This ain't it's the dagger. For sure.
Is the whole reason Xal'atath is working with him. There is a big possibility that N'Zoth could turn out to be the final boss of Midnight, because so far we know 12.1 is an Amani patch, 12.1.5 very likely Forsaken patch related to the Forsaken, and 12.2 is going to be related to the World Soul where Xal'atath left. The whole main story is actually going to continue in 12.2, but I'm guessing 12.1 is going to introduce the Catraxi General to set this up. This means that N'Zoth is truly returning, but this time we may face an actual old god. Like, this is his true location, his true prison, not some weakened version, some vision, but
cool
like an
cutscene,
old god imprisoned in their former capital of the Black Empire. And I'm guessing this is what is going to trigger the last Titan. It's also possible that Xal'Tet may fulfill her end of the bargain and to actually completely like unleash N'Zoth. Of course, this part is speculation, but the evidence does make this more and more clear. The old gods are once again becoming relevant. I mean, this is undeniable. They did technically say in an interview that Midnight won't be about the old gods, it will be about the cosmic void, and it probably will be until the end of Midnight. But you gotta notice that, first of all, we got the foreshadowing of Ashara returning and the Naga being all over Quel'Thalas.
Yes.
They used to serve and might still serve N'Zoth. We have the data-mined void version of N'Zoth, which could be a vision, but it could be something.
And the guy who spews random things out. There is, although I've talked about this long before we ever watched this video, there is a ton of evidence out there and a lot of foreshadowing about N'Zoth's return. And I've basically been throwing all these facts out there throughout this entire video and reasons why his return doesn't seem that far-fetched anymore. This isn't like some kind of, oh, we checked the PTR and we double inspected the patch notes and we actually found a fart in the wind mechanic and that means he's coming back as a fart. Yeah, no, this is like legit shit. There are cutscenes that seemingly have been put into this game and with intention of bringing back N'Zoth's storyline, and it just all seems like it's lining up perfectly for his return.
Bigger, and we also have the very recent development with the Catraxi General that the cultists are digging up. If the cultists are now serving the old gods or N'Zoth, it could be on his order. He might be trying to awaken his Catraxi General for what is to come, and this could turn out to be a very interesting storyline. It's obvious that the whole N'Zoth-Xal'Tet pact has been left open-ended and is yet to conclude. I mean, are they allies? Are they enemies? Or just like currently they're allies? And do they even have the same goal?
Also, I do think if we got some sort, I don't know how Blizzard would work this in, because we kind of got Ny'alotha, but the Ny'alotha raid, I felt like did Ny'alotha injustice. Like this, right here, this image, this is the Ny'alotha we wanted to see. Fucking rivers of lava and just spires to the freaking sky and just this overbuilt, insanely huge underground land or something. This would have been crazy to see. And we didn't. We got just a raid kind of tidbit of it. I would have loved to see this like in an actual land.
Well, I mean, the old gods return to their old
like
void roots,
city,
and maybe they wanna now help the void. It's really just hard to tell. I mean, we can really only speculate. Personally, I feel like N'Zoth, as the most intelligent old god, is probably not going to turn out to just be like a minion of Xal'Tet, but maybe.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Times that are coming for Azeroth, they may actually kind of band together. What is certain is that all the lore we knew before is very likely just BS. I mean, it's highly unlikely that the old gods are just like these simple minions of the Void Lords, and they're more powerful than we thought. I mean, seeing these guys actually manage to defeat Xal'Tet and imprison her for thousands of years, so something big is really about to happen. Thanks for watching. Check out the new Sky Elves we discovered by clicking on the screen, and subscribe to my brand new Witcher lore channel that recently opened by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time.
Nice video from Doran, the Teller of a Thousand Truths, and good kind of summary of all the shit that's been going on. As I said before, the N'Zoth return is not being pulled out of anyone's ass. This is something Blizzard's clearly been laying the bricks and framework for to get us to the point where it makes sense for his return, and I think we're getting closer. It could be sooner than we think. Could be the next patch. We're at least getting into some old god shit, so we'll see. Nice one from Doran.